Obviously, there was a three-way trade between Phoenix, Washington, and ourselves that had been agreed upon, and we were very clear about who was in the trade. Contrary reports, it was not Dillon Brooks, and then which put us in a very difficult situation with our players. Individuals from one or both of those teams leaked the deal while we were playing last night, and that forced me to do something I've never done in 30-plus years working this league with 7 teams, is to drag 2 players out of the locker room and tell them they've been traded, and then eventually have to come back and tell them, oh, no, you haven't been traded. So we take our player relations very seriously. We ask a lot of these guys, and we stay and try to communicate with them at all times. We do not want them to know about trades from another party. We want to be the ones that tell them. So again, we were forced to come in at that time and say something. That put us in a very difficult situation. And fortunately, Marshawn and Wayne are pros. And when I explained to them afterwards, they were okay with the situation and we're all moving forward. But what happened last night was unfathomable. I've never experienced this before. And we were very clear about who was in this deal. And Dillon Brooks never was intended to be a part of this, was not, from our standpoint, and we made this very clear, it was not Dillon Brooks. And I let Dillon know that after the game, too, that don't believe what you're reading and hearing tonight. You are not a part of this trade, and you're not going to be a part of it.
As far as the conversations with Marshawn and Wayne and even JB,
right.
How does that go? Did they come away understanding?
Well, I mean, they were very, very professional about the whole thing. But, obviously, Marshawn and Wayne are also human, too. I mean, you don't like to be thinking you're going one place and have to come back and switch gears later on. I understand that. But as I told them, this is the NBA of 2018, and, players get traded all the time. And unfortunately, we had this distraction tonight, and let's just all, go move on and put this behind us. And I think they will, because they've helped us win a lot of games this year, and we expect them to be very productive players for us going forward.
Were there any talks to try and restart the negotiations on the deal?
No, because Dillon Brooks was absolutely non-starter. Again, during our discussions, which were with Washington yesterday, and we had multiple people from our front office on all those discussions yesterday, Dillon was never part of that deal.
You said last night that you'd only negotiated with Washington in the run-up
to
the trade. Is it unusual for a 3-team trade not to have 3-team communication?
Well, eventually it would have been, but both us and Washington had to go into our particular games. This is a little bit unusual happening, right before a game, Chris. So we went, took care of our game, and then unfortunately this was leaked when it shouldn't have been, and that started, the firestorm.
So you never talked to Phoenix. Did anyone from your organization talk to Phoenix about
this particular trade? No, Jeff. I mean, you have conversations with all teams, throughout the year, but in this particular trade, no.
There's, of course, the reports about the medicals that
medicals were never sent out from us. That absolutely is a falsehood. That did not occur.
What in the world, why would someone say that or say Dillon Brooks if you weren't talking about Dillon Brooks?
I have no idea, all right? This is a world where nothing seems to stays in-house anymore in this business, and everything seems to be leaked in one shape or form, and I'm very disappointed in it because it really caused an undue amount of issues yesterday that shouldn't have been out there.
How long have you been working on this?
This just in... this really, you have talks all along, but I'd say this thing really didn't pick up steam until late Thursday afternoon, and then the bulk of the discussions were done yesterday, multiple discussions with Washington.
How would this have resolved itself if it had not leaked to the media?
Well, I think if we didn't have the pressure of a game coming up and then it was a leak to the media, then very shortly all 3 teams would have got together in some shape or form, Chris. And then, if there was any, yes, right. And then we'd have said, no, that's not Dillon Brooks. No way.
This had nothing to do with Robert Parra being here last night?
No, not at all. No.
Is there anyone to fault, or is it just miscommunication?
Well, it's not us, all right? We're very clear in what we communicated, and, we don't have any issues with how we conducted this at all. You have to talk to these other teams. It was not our problem.
What were your communications like with Robert Parra last night?
Robert?
Yep.
We explained to him that a deal looked like it was going through. Everybody had agreed upon it. It would probably be done today. And then when it didn't happen, obviously we kept him up to date as quickly as we were getting developments.